welcome to another Round the Rotary podcast with me, your host, JP Warren. And before we begin, I got to say that Round the Rotary podcast is brought to you by Capital Petroleum Consultants, CPC, specialized in project engineering, well site supervision, and all disciplines of the oil and gas industry. Contact us through www.capitalpetroleumconsultants.com to see what CPC can do for you today. And also check out Round the Rotary on Instagram. We got a lot of good behind the scenes, podcast release and stuff kind of pertaining to the oil field and the podcast itself. So that's a round_the_rotary _JP Warren. And check that out. And actually, you know what's funny? This is so... The guest I have, I'm going to leave this on. So the guest I have right now is someone that we became, I guess, friends on. Well, I think it was LinkedIn first, and then Instagram, and I've seen your stuff, and I think we reached out to each other, and we eventually met up for coffee and at Snooze out in Katy. Right. And then from there, man, I think we just had good conversations. Like, man, you got to come on the podcast. Yeah. We got to do this. But we just recorded about 40 minutes of one, and I was like, dude, I'm not feeling it.
Dude, I'm awkward on video or audio, like so awkward.
I'm not feeling it.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I'm your first guest that you had to you're like, yeah, you know what? We have to pause this. And so we don't have the headphones on anymore, but
headphones are off. We're being more casual right now.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. What is it? Like, I mean, has that ever happened before where you have a guest
Nope.
and you're like, no,
that's never happened. And that's the thing. So first off, everyone, I want to introduce, this is Tim Taylor, the founder of at Midnight Marketing, who, and to give a little back, why don't you give a little background on Midnight Marketing before we kick this off?
Sure. Midnight Marketing is a digital advertising agency. So we take care of everything from websites, logo design, brand guidelines, to targeting campaigns, retargeting, email campaigns, everything digital when it comes to marketing and advertising.
And so honestly, the people out there listening right now, I mean, I'm sure so Tim is, it's Midnight Marketing. First off, it's a cool name because it's kind of, you're very discreet. When I asked you about your, hey, can we, are we bringing up your customers during this podcast? Are we doing anything like that? You're like, nah, I'd rather not. Like, I dig that. Like, okay, why are we not bringing up the customers that you currently work for?
Well, I think that's also part of the reason why I'm maybe so awkward, on podcasts or videos, because it translates to midnight. Like I'm a big advocate for letting the work speak for itself, and just not talking about what you're doing, just doing it. So even Midnight Marketing, I remember when I set up that LLC, it was just I needed an LLC that day because I was signing up a new customer. My accountant was like, "Hey, you got to set up an LLC." Thought of like a random name, did it, and so there was really no thought behind it. So. Yeah, that's and in terms of our clients and in terms of our marketing, we like to be very quiet with how we operate, and
again, let the work speak for itself.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to talk to you about Midnight Marketing. This is your own company, right? And this is something you started 9 months ago. We're filming this. We're recording this May 3rd, 2021. So you started this, I guess, during COVID.
During COVID, that's right. Yeah. So before that, I was basically like a fractionalized, CMO to a couple of companies, and then started to get more requests, and so brought on a graphic designer, and then some more people, and then here we are 9 months later.
So the stuff you do, and I've seen some of the stuff. Actually, my business partner and I were talking about before you came in here about website tweaking all that stuff. Yeah. And good, it's perfect timing you came in here today because you told me a couple of your customers that you're doing their stuff for, and I sent about 5 or 6 different oil fields. And that's the thing too. So I sent about 5 or 6 different of your customers,
right?
And looking at that stuff, the stuff you create is so cool. It's new, it's clean, it's sharp looking, it's user friendly. Like, I really dig your stuff.
Thanks, man. No, we love what we do. I have one of the best jobs ever. I get to work with some really smart, talented people, and so you churn out really great work when you do that. And yeah, it's been a really interesting year for us.
Have you always been, creative? I mean, because what you do, what you and your team do, like, it's so creative, it's so dynamic, it's neat. Have you always been creative?
Yeah, man. Ever since I was, 13 years old in a punk rock band, banging on drums to writing songs to, playing guitar. Always been a creative person, right? And so definitely, and it was interesting because growing up, my parents were very much like.
So where'd you grow up?
So Montreal. Okay. So this is the second time we're doing this. So I'm not sure what we covered and what we haven't. But yeah, I grew up in Montreal, Canada, born and raised. And, at that time, and rightfully so, my parents were not like big advocates of like being in drama or like, music class. It was more so like, hey, like you got to get good at like math and you
need a career.
Yeah. And you know what? They grew up in a time where that made sense. Right.
Okay.
But I mean, now you have like, Instagrammers, making $100,000 a year, off, their
hosting a
whatever, just their lifestyle.
Yeah.
So times have changed. And yeah, so midnight marketing really is an extension of my childhood, being creative, coming up with different ways to be seen, so yeah.
Is that so? How creative are you when it comes to like different avenues on like what works, what doesn't work, and all this stuff? Like, for example, let's say you put something out there, right, and there's no traction, it kind of falls flat and all this stuff. Are you gonna go back and revisit something like a campaign or something and fine tune or tweak it and try the same avenues?
So at the beginning, we did do a lot of that, and now like the formula is, if it's not different, like it typically won't do well. Also, if it feels like an ad, don't post it. If it feels like an ad, if it feels like you're trying to sell something, don't do it.
So that's so counterintuitive to, honestly, that's so counterintuitive to, I guess, what marketing, what companies do. You know what I mean? This. So is there a new era, I guess, of marketing that you're seeing, that of companies branding themselves and putting content and media out there that you're kind of seeing?
I think so, man. Like I always talk about like inbound and outbound, traffic models, right?
Okay.
So traditionally you have like a sales team. They go out there, the hunters, right? I'm doing air quotations. They're the hunters, and they try to get work, win work, right?
Yep.
That's like, knocking on the door, cold calls, cold emails. And no one wants to be interrupted at supper time, with a knock on the door or a call from someone that you don't know. So there's this new model where if you create content that's interesting, that represents, you, that you're engaged with as well, you're creating this inbound model where now people are going to start getting they're consuming your content and they're going to get in contact with you, right? And so once you taste that, which is like this new era of like, create your own media hub, create your own media group within your company. You'll never go back to the knocking on doors.
Well, what's important when you're creating content and you're creating this, you're meeting with a customer. They say, hey, look, I want to grow the brand. I want to grow the traffic to our website or to our LinkedIn page or to something like that. Like, how are you identifying the content that would be inbound? I mean, how are you changing it up, I guess?
It would be content that we would want to consume ourselves, right? And so we humanize it. Like we downplay it to the common denominator, which is the ones creating the graphics, which is, our team. And we look at this and we're like, is this something that we would like? And now sometimes, of course, you have a client that wants a very specific thing and you might not agree with it, but it's
the customer's
exactly
customer's the customer.
Yeah. But with the customers that we have more more range with, we can get pretty creative. Fun stuff works. Interesting. The meme game. You're seeing more and more of that. So
let's talk about the memes. So first off, this is the second time we're doing this. I think we brought that up earlier.
Yeah.
Tim and I were talking, and we've sat across the table about 3 or 4 times now, and every time we have a conversation, it's like, shit, I got to go. I wish I could stick around here and talk for about 30 minutes. And we did this for about 40 minutes. I'm like, dude, it's not flowing.
No, I know.
It's not flowing.
Yeah.
Let's get back to it.
Yeah. I think it's just because of me. I'm an awkward person when it comes to being on mic. It's not you, man. You're doing a great job.
I disagree. So this new era in marketing.
Yes.
What was the old era? And I guess, what are you seeing in the new era?
So I think
I can tell you what I saw in the old era, and it was pretty much how LinkedIn was about 2 years ago. It was boring. It was, people were posting articles about their product. Like, who's going to sit there and read like a 2-page article about a project when they're scrolling through, unless you're looking for that exact thing.
Have you seen Mad Men?
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of old era, like old school advertising and marketing, like it's very similar to today in terms of like, okay, you have this creative piece. It's a commercial, it's a radio ad, and then you look at distribution. Okay, it's a billboard. Again, it's radio, it's TV. It's that, but then you put that on the internet, right? You put that on LinkedIn. So you have this creative piece, and now you have this distribution that is almost infinite, right? Especially with targeting campaigns, retargeting campaigns. But now I think, with so many small businesses, with so many more people having access to tools to, promote their own business, I think you got to find some sort of creative piece that pierces through all the noise. And again, we just go back to it's a simple mantra, but if it feels like an ad, if it smells like an ad, it's just not going to do well.
But that's so counterintuitive to, I guess, marketing, because marketing is so I guess the Mad Men era. I remember, watching Mad Men. Pretty much every show's the same.
Yeah.
Don Draper wakes up, drinks. They all drink. He cheats on his wife, drinks, smokes a couple cigarettes.
Right. Yeah.
Sexual harasses people at work, and that's the scene. That's the show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But what they do, they create. They're trying to sit in their customers' eyes and create a need for their customers and how their product will fill that need.
Right.
Versus now, it's like, what's going to be interesting to me? What am I going to want to stop scrolling on? And what do I want to stop and engage in? So it's kind of, I'm not saying you're taking the customer's perceptions out of it, but you're also saying, man, what's going to pierce through all the noise, you know? Because I mean, we're not talking billboards anymore. I guess, you got Facebook, you got Instagram, you got Twitter, you got LinkedIn, all these different avenues to, I guess, get your message out there. And that's not just for people driving down the highway. That's for people across the world. They can see your stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how do you stay on the front of creating stuff that people actually want to see?
It goes back to, is it content that we would want to consume ourselves, right? Okay. It comes back to that.
So you're not about making an ad or a marketing campaign that feels like an advertisement.
Yeah, I mean, people don't want to be sold to. People don't want to be sold to.
I agree with you, but why do you say that?
Just from personal experience, just how I engage with the world. You have someone approaching you at a store, or you have someone. Sometimes, sometimes it works out. Actually, how we got our CFO was off him messaging me, and it turns out it wasn't a bot. He was actually messaging me on LinkedIn. It worked out very well, right? But for the most part, that kind of stuff, that the cold calls, you don't know what my problems are, but you're calling me with a solution. It doesn't make any sense. So I think most people don't like, and it's always a numbers game with that model anyways, right? In the sense that it's like, well, if I call 100 people,
it's going to result in 50 meetings.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, I mean, yes, if you can make that work, good for you.
Dude, first off, if that worked, that would make every sales job that much more easier. Hey, if you shoot out 10 emails, it's going to result in 5 lunches, and result in 2 meetings, result in 1 sale. Well, I'd be sending 100 emails a day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I'd be sending that up, but it doesn't work that way.
No. And I think that's what's changing. If you're asking what's the old era versus now, it's the same content distribution. You have that, but it's online. But now it's also like, well, because you have an abundance of advertising and marketing from all different types of businesses, from 2 people to 1 person to hundreds. Everyone's trying to get your attention. And so what is your message that's going to pierce through the noise? And that message might be a meme. It might be a very funny meme that you want to share that makes you laugh, right? That might be that. So,
dude, I completely agree. I mean, honestly, like I was having this conversation with one of my buddies this morning at Snooze, and I'm sitting there talking, and he's like, "Man, your memes are funny," and I was like, "No, thanks." I'm like, what's kind of funny? Like, I'm 41 years old. I went to A&M in marketing, got a master's in France. I've been in the oil field since 2005. Like, and here I am in 2021 making memes.
Yeah.
And it's like, it sounds kind of like, what are you, millennial? Like, what are you, like, little shit? I'm like, but it works, because what it does, it has people reshare, it has people come and look at it, and what that does, it raises, JP Warren, but also Capital Petroleum Consultants.
And don't you also enjoy it?
I honestly do. Like, if you find one of those things that's just like funny to you, like some stuff, like I'll laugh at, you know what I mean? And to me, it's not work. But at the same time, it's like, well, get back to the serious business. Like, well, this is serious business, because it's drawing over, 25,000 views on LinkedIn for one thing. I know it's a joke, but it matters. And this new era of oil field marketing it's not the way, it's not the white papers. No. It's not a picture of drill collars. It's not that anymore.
And so what you said, it's so important that you enjoy what you do. So you have a meme page for Around the Rotary, right? And you're very consistent with it. Like, every day you're posting? Try
to.
Yeah. Okay. And you're doing it because you like it. It's fun for you, right? But there's also something to be said. This is interesting, because I bring up this example where it's like, an Apple ad, like a really cool, badass.
Do you mind?
Yeah, let's do it.
So here's the deal. I'll bring it up. I'm gonna stop you at the Apple ad. And by the way,
Yeah.
one of my characteristics my wife really appreciates about me is I always interrupt.
Okay.
Like I just do. I don't know why.
Hey, this is your podcast.
I just had, it's your podcast today, but he brought a bottle of Ron Zacapa rum, and I think we might have a little bit just to kind of get the creative juices flowing.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna pop it up. So anyway, talk to me about Apple.
So an Apple ad, all right? So you see this really badass Apple ad on Facebook. Are you going to engage with it? I know I don't.
No.
I don't even think I follow Apple on most accounts, right? So there's also something to be said about like content that people don't engage with, but that still might hit home to, you know, whatever it is they're looking for, or, you know, it might resonate in a way where they're not going to engage with it, but they're going to, like, you know.
What do you mean engaging?
Well, like, are you going to like and share or comment on an Apple ad on Facebook?
Okay.
And I'm using my experience. I don't typically do that. I'm not gonna be like, wow, Apple, this is a really cool, you know, awesome work.
Yeah,
you know?
you're not going to share it. Be like, check out this new iPhone coming out.
Yeah, at most I might like it, you know, but that content's still very relevant, right? That polished content's still relevant, but you have to have some sort of balance. Apple's really, really, really good at engaging ads, right? Engaging commercials. Like, I don't know if you saw the commercial with privacy.
No.
Oh man,
it's
so funny. It's like, so there's this woman in a park, and she's shouting out with a megaphone her credit card number, you know?
Okay.
And so the whole thing is like, you know, information that you wouldn't want to get out to to everyone.
Yeah.
And it's just a very engaging, you know, fun way to, you know, create a commercial. So they're very good at that. But going back to the memes, like, you obviously with B2B, right? You know, it can't all be that, because sometimes you got to talk about performance. You know, there's some things that you do got to talk about.
You need some measurables.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you and I know, like, you have like a polished post or like a performance post, and then you post a meme. Like, you probably see the numbers when you post a more ad-like post. It typically doesn't do very well.
It really falls flat.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like kind of what we were talking about the first podcast we recorded. Whenever I share like a Capital Petroleum Consultants like post or something like that, unless I change it up or personalize it or kind of like customize it a little bit, if I don't do that, it will fall flat.
Yeah.
There's no engagement in it.
Because someone sees you, like your name, you're resharing something with no thought, with no like message on it. You're just
It's
resharing.
lazy.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah.
Right. So, anyways, it's a very interesting time to be in marketing as well. You know, it just, there's so many possibilities. There's so many ways to tell your story. But whether it's 1960 Mad Men era or today, it's about the content. It's about what are you trying to get across, right? And I think in some ways social media has made advertisers almost a little bit lazy, because they're like, oh well, let's just post it out there. Whereas before it's like, well, you got to really think about this commercial, because that's a $30,000 ad spot. So let's really make sure that this, we're
communicating what we want.
Yeah. Whereas now it's like, I'll just post whatever. And there's different schools of thought. Like, maybe if you just keep on posting, you'll get better and better and better, right?
But you know what? That's a good point. I mean, for example, with the podcast, with the Instagram account for the podcast, like. And even the podcast, even the every episode of the podcast, I mean, I'm like, my thought process, like, well, I enjoy doing it. I'm just going to put it out there. I think other people might enjoy it. It's not very targeted, though. It's very kind of like, well, it's good. People will come. But that's not really the case, because there's so much noise, and there's so many different accounts. There's so many podcasts. There's so many meme accounts. There's so many companies out there. So, yeah, I mean, your shit could be the best out there, but how? I'm not saying it around the Rotary is at all by any means. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying I'm using this as a. But I mean, it could be the best out there, but there needs to be a strategy on bringing people in versus just putting good stuff out there.
That's a good point too, right? So engaging on other people's posts, that's something that you do very well, right? You're also commenting. You're not just throwing out content, you're engaging with the oil and gas community.
Right.
And I think that, company pages should be doing that more. Sales teams should be doing that more, instead of just reshare, like engage and not engage like hey, like learn more about our services. Engage with the post if it's interesting. Like throw out a comment, throw out some value.
Dude, I'll tell you one thing. Something that makes me roll my eyes, and I hate admitting this, but like whenever there is like a post or a meme or something like that, and someone comes in, chimes in, like, well, this wouldn't happen if you used buck mount coding systems. Call me at. I'm like, dude, that's not the point. Like, it's to me, that's like, you're just trying to sell right now. And if I was a customer, I wouldn't be taking a call from that, because it sounds like, dude, you're going to come in my office and you're just trying to sell me. So like that hardcore sell thing either is not there.
Yeah, and I don't know if it'll ever go away because it's lazy and it's a way to get started, but. And what you're doing here, like this is long form. Like you got to be in this for the long haul. You're not going to, do a podcast for 2 or 3 months and like see new business. No, like it's going to take a long time. You got to enjoy it. So find whatever rhythm that you like. Keep on doing it, and even if it's just the conversations that you're having, just that alone is valuable, right?
So one thing that like so there's this big new era, right? It's the organic. It's the corporations having their employees tell the story on who that brand is. Right. You know what I mean? It's that personality. It's that brand. The personality is part of the brand, right? In my opinion. Yeah. And there are a lot of companies very hesitant right now to allow their employees to post, whether it's memes or slightly funny stuff or stuff that isn't in line with the old school company culture. What would you say to companies out there or people out there who restrict their employees from, promoting individuality or personality, I guess, of the company?
I guess it depends how big the company is, right? If it's public or not.
I'm not talking about an NOV. Yeah. I'm not talking about like an NOV or a Schlumberger or anything like that. I'm talking about like a medium-sized oil field service company or even an operator.
I think why this is like my go-to answer would be like you should let your if your employees are going to want to talk about the company, let them talk about the company. Right. That's great distribution. Going back to like distribution, that's a great way to. But then it's also like, well, how do you like? What are they posting besides the company? What channels are? I mean, if they're on Instagram, maybe they post things that are a lot more political. It does get gray, and so. I understand how it could be challenging to mitigate that. You know what I mean? Like if you're,
I do, but I kind of think that in this day and age, I think COVID. I mean, we saw LinkedIn change. Yeah. From February 2020 until where it's at today.
Big time, man.
It's a completely different social media platform. To me, it's my new Facebook. Yeah, Facebook's not on my phone. It's off. Rarely check Facebook. Yeah.
I'm right there with you. Yeah.
To me, it's LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Same. And because it is kind of engaging now, it is fun. It's more entertaining. Yeah. So I come across a lot of people when they want to post like a meme or something silly or something like that, like, and they're like, man, I had to take it down. I'm like, why? And they're like, well, the company didn't want me to put it up there. And to me, I'm like, dude, that is showing, number one.
Yeah, your people want to highlight your company.
Yeah. I get it. And not only that, you're doing it a different way where it will draw engagement. So, I mean, for companies to kind of, I guess, put their thumb on people that want to show their personality or kind of highlight the company in a humorous way, and they get kind of censored to do that. I know censor's a buzzword these days. No, but they get censored to do that. To me, I'm like, that's a dinosaur way of thinking. I think companies need to allow their employees, to express themselves and who the company is.
I mean, I'm right there with you, man. This is all so new, right? So I don't know I don't know how you would possibly manage that, or even if you should manage it. I don't know. Like, what do you
That's the thing, though. I think if something's offensive, I think if something's over the line, I think if something could be misinterpreted as offensive or something like that, I agree. Yeah. Pull it. Take it out. You don't need that shit out there. But I think for the majority of the time, I think if you're a company and you hire people, you're hiring that person because you want them to represent your company.
True. It's also the line of like, especially in the States, being from Canada, it's very different. But in the States, it's also so, like what you and I might say is like is not polarizing, might be polarizing to someone else. They might get triggered. You know what I mean?
Everyone's triggered these days.
Yeah. So I don't know what the answer is to that. Like you just. Like if you had 100-person, if you were in charge of a 100-person company, right. Would you just let them do whatever, or would there be some sort of like?
I think there'd be some structure behind that. Hey, look,
how would you structure it?
Well, first off, I need to know what is it, memes or what is it?
Whatever. You have a company, service, product, whatever, and you have 100 employees and they want to share content, but it's content that they might be creating.
Okay. Well, that's a great question. I would probably frame it up as this. Okay. This is what we sell. First off, this is our product. Okay, number one, I want everyone to understand that.
Yeah.
Number two, these are our values. You know what I mean? We're respectful. We treat people this way. We're a team. Family focused. That being said, go ahead. I trust you. I would put the trust on the employee. I trust you to whatever you want to put out there is fine. But if it's offensive, if it's sexist, if it's anything like that, that shit's not okay because that wouldn't fall in the value. So there would be kind of a checkbox. Like, is it about our company? Is it in line with our values? Is it funny? You know what I mean? Nothing's worse than a bad meme. Well, actually, there's a lot of things worse than a bad meme.
No, but the thing is though, is that it's like the attempt to be funny, and it's like it just falls. And
believe me, I try to be funny all the time at my house.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it always falls flat.
Yeah.
Always.
That's a really interesting way about going about it. So you have these, these buckets of who we are, if it checks these, but then you're also confining what is so interesting about where we are right now, where people are just posting kind of almost whatever, Again, it can't fall within, like you said, not sexist, hopefully try to stay away from like politics, but then, yeah, I don't know what the answer is. It's tough,
I mean, I'm sick of politics. I don't think politics should be on social media. If anything, sit across the table with someone and have a conversation. Don't put that shit out there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're not doing it. You're just putting people in their own camps and just keeping them that way. They're digging their heels in the sand.
So how do you create your memes? Like, what inspires you?
The toughest part, well, what inspires me is just sitting on the couch watching my wife play Witcher 3 for the 5th time.
Okay.
But no, that's not. What inspires me, like, honestly, like, so my meme, first off, I have to be in a mood. I have to be in a creative meme mood. Okay. So I'll sit there and so I try to think of what's funny. Like, I love, like, hey, Canadian, Trailer Park Boys. Yeah. Letterkenny, Kids in the Hall. I grew up on Kids in the Hall.
Okay.
I think, do you know who that is?
No idea.
Are you serious?
No idea.
Kids in the Hall was one of the best shows come out of Canada. They were like,
I want to look it up right now.
I am blown away. It was like original Comedy Central, like back in the day.
Kids in the Hall.
It's some of the best Canadian comedy out there.
Really?
In my opinion.
Okay, that says a lot.
So we're talking generations now. How old are you?
I am 32.
Yeah, okay, so I'm 41. So yeah, this is maybe 5 or 6 years before you.
Gotcha. Okay.
So anyway, so
like mid 1980s?
Yeah. Well, no, it's like 90s.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is though, like, I love like 80s cheesy action flicks. Like, I love Jean-Claude Van Damme. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Steven Seagal. If I can find a Trailer Park Boys, like I'm talking about like stupid shit. You know what I mean? Like, I love that stuff. Like, that to me is hilarious.
So that inspires you to create the memes?
Yes. If I can find Steven Seagal, like, not Steven Seagal in his prime. I'm talking about Steven Seagal like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like when he was like a New Orleans cop. Like, if I can find shit like that and put something funny how it relates to the oil and gas industry or something like that. Like, I just posted one today about The Simpsons.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I saw that.
I don't know. Like, I just try to find stuff that I think's funny first off, and I think it's kind of taken out of context. You know, I have one with Audrey Hepburn, talking about trying to save money and all that stuff, and I correlate it to my wife shopping on Amazon, which she doesn't do that much, but I just used it, like, I try, so I have to get in a mood, okay? And then I try to find something personal, what's funny to me, I love 80s action, 80s horror, cheesy shit like martial arts, whatever. You know what I mean? Like RoboCop.
RoboCop.
So what I did.
I love RoboCop.
Well, what I did Saturday, I spent about an hour and a half trying to find good RoboCop clips. You know what I mean? And finding clips on Instagram.
I love that. I love that dedication. Hour and a half.
I find all my clips on Instagram and I'll save it. Then I'll just upload it to TikTok and I'll just that's when I create the memes.
Gotcha.
On TikTok. So TikTok is my locker of, I got just tons of memes on there that I'll bring over to Instagram. Then I'll bring over to LinkedIn.
So do you search via hashtag on Instagram and then you screen record? Is that what you're doing?
No, you just copy the link.
Oh, okay.
So it's the thing, you copy the link and it saves the clip to your phone.
Gotcha.
So I need to be like in a creative, funny mood. Like if it's a bad day, no, I'm not going to be funny. If it's this, or sometimes like I'll be inspired, like 5:30 a.m., like just kind of sitting there like, oh, this is good shit.
You also post pretty early. I noticed that.
I know.
You post early.
I don't know why.
I'll check my phone. It's like 7 o'clock. I'm like, oh, wow, you already posted 45 minutes ago.
I kind of feel like, and, people always, some people are so serious about their posts. Like they'll like go online and like research like, okay, well, top performing posts are between 10 and 10:07 on a Wednesday, every other Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't do that. And again, it's probably a shame on my part. But I mean, just like, the Instagram account, I'll just, if I think it's a good post, I'm going to put it out there. If it gains traction, gains traction. Sure, I could probably target it better. But anyway, like I'll just find that stuff and I'll think of something that kind of like that I can relate to in the oil and gas industry or married life or being a father. I need to relate to it. What's funny, you know what I mean? But the one thing that I've kind of I've noticed is like if I'll take, shots at operators. Or if I'll take shots at, oil field service companies, like,
right.
Man, it's just a meme. Like, I'm not like insulting you. Like, chill out.
Do you ever get backlash?
Oh, I get some backlash. It's like, man, like somebody texts me like, man, you think it's going to piss anyone off about, oil field service companies? Like, like the one I did today with the Simpsons.
Okay.
It's like, it's about oil field service companies, like pretty much, oh, please take, it was from the, please take my $46. I don't need it. It's yours. Like,
right.
Whatever. And, I had someone text me like, man, you think it's going to piss anyone off? I'm like, honestly,
it's a meme.
I don't give it. Like, it's a meme. Like, if you're offended by a meme, like, get off social media. If you're offended by a meme, that's honestly just it picks fun at everyone. You know what I mean? Like, just chill.
I think you're doing it the right way. Like, you're not looking at times. You're doing, you're putting out content that you can relate to, that's interesting for you. You're having a good time doing it. And so I think that's the high order bit is like, producing content that you like yourself, and that you would want to consume. So you're doing,
how do you, so people out there kind of listening right now, like what would be the first couple steps on to be like, cause like, if I'm listening out there and let's say I'm not that active on LinkedIn or posting stuff or developing posts and whatever it is, content, whatever, you're talking about stuff that I want to see. What would be the building blocks for you to identify? Like, you already know what you want to see. I know what I want to see, but there's a lot of people out there that like, they feel like they know what they want to see, but they can't, from feeling it to, I guess, making it, they can't, what are the steps in that?
In producing a campaign?
Not really a campaign, just like, let's say you want to do a meme or a post or something about your company that you're trying to highlight and all that stuff.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So again, content that is, that you enjoy, like if we're talking about, a company producing their own content, make it enjoyable. Like make sure that's something that you can keep on doing. In terms of how do we engage with a customer, it would really depend on how the size of the company. Are we interacting with the CEO, the founders? Are they the brand? Are we dealing with a much larger company? It really depends. But at the end of the day, it comes down to what kind of content do people want to consume? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Does this look like an ad? Does this feel like, we have like 300 people on LinkedIn. Every post that we posted, there's a call to action. It's tiring,
Yeah.
Again, I really don't think that most people want to be sold to, right? And so,
you know what? That's kind of like, you're right. That's kind of like sitting there with your family.
Yeah.
It's 6 o'clock. You get a phone call, whether it's a telemarketer. Hey, just so you know, you're like, oh, don't sell to me. Or like walking around wherever. It's like, hey, can I help you? Can I help you? It's like, no, like,
man, I got a good story. So, so my wife and I move into our new house. Okay. The fire alarms in new homes are very sensitive. We've experienced this in Canada too. So they were highly sensitive, and I think it's because they have to calibrate them because no one's in the house, so they got to be even more sensitive. But anyways, they're all like insanely sensitive.
That's pretty much the state of the world right now. Everyone's sensitive
and triggered. So we're cooking and the alarm goes off. So they all go off, and we have at the time we had 2 dogs. Now we have 3. The dogs are barking like crazy, and then someone rings the doorbell.
Oh, gee.
It's an alarm sales guy, right? And the alarms are going, the dogs are barking. I'm trying to keep them from going outside.
Dinner's on the stove.
He still continues with his sales pitch. He's like, hey man, yeah. So if you just have 30 seconds, I'm like, do you not see this? I just opened the door to see if like it was like I don't know like neighbor
Whatever,
like
yeah,
worried,
whatever.
and he continues with it. And I'm like, can we do this another time? Like it wasn't clicking. He's like, yeah, man, I can wait here for a couple of minutes. The dogs are going crazy, the alarms are off, and it's like, man, you're so out of touch. You're so like, and that kind of stuff is just like it makes you want to take a shower. It's just
that is, I mean, to me, that's not reading the other person's reaction. It's not reading the room. And I think so. For example, my approach to sales is like, to me, it's not even sales because it's like I never talk work with someone, unless you have to, because to me, the relationship is what matters. You know what I mean? The relationship, they know why you're there. They know what you're selling. They know what this and they know that.
Yeah.
So like, do you really have to talk work every time you see your friend, your frustomer? No.
Your frustomer.
Yeah, frustomer.
I like that. I haven't heard that one.
Obviously, we have a new listener of the show. A frustomer is a friend that's a customer. A frustomer.
Is this something that you coined? Is this something that
Actually, I did coin it. It's coined.
Wow.
It's coined.
Well, look at that.
It's actually in a court document in Fort Bend County. It's coined. Oh yeah.
I'm learning so much today. It's my first time drinking Topo Chico. Oh, man.
I kind of wish you.
I know.
I kind of wish you said that like you didn't know what you were saying. It's Topo Chico.
Topo Chico.
Topo Chico.
Okay.
So
very good.
So
yeah.
Real quick, let's go back to midnight marketing.
Sure.
Because I want to bring this up and then we'll kind of spiel on our other stuff.
Okay.
So, first generation oil and gas.
Yeah.
Creative. Start your own company. Your wife's in oil and gas, and you are too right now. But anyway, so you're meeting with these customers. So if I was a customer, right, and I bring you into, hey, we want to start promoting these drill collars or this whatever, this new equipment, this new technology we have, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Being someone that hasn't grown up in the, I haven't grown up in the industry either, but I've been in the industry long enough.
Right.
You know what I mean? But being someone that I guess kind of a novice in the industry and all that stuff, does that help you or hurt you when you have these meetings when you're discussing, I guess, the campaign and the design of the content and the media and all that stuff? I mean, not knowing what a wireline truck is or something like that. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, so when I didn't know what these things were, like a wireline truck, if you go in with pretending like you know what you're talking about, and you try to have a good conversation, they're going to know right away that you have no idea.
Was it bags of sand?
Yeah.
Dude, that's like me when people start talking sports. Like, I'll get like 3 sentences in. I'm like, I feel like I'm going to say something. And they're like, wait a minute. This guy don't know what he's talking about.
No idea what he's talking about.
Motherfucker, you don't know what he's talking about.
So I just took the approach of like, hey, like I don't know this. But it doesn't affect the marketing or advertising. Yes, you have to understand something. But again, it's the same kind of like, it's the same kind of concept where, we were talking about Mad Men, like you have a creative and then you have distribution. It's like you have that model. Now you have to understand what it is you are marketing, of course. But I would just go in and be like, hey, I don't know what this is. Let's just walk through it from a high level.
I would assume that might actually benefit you too, because it probably has, for example, if you're around a subject so long and all that stuff, you just assume everyone knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you just assume.
Well, interesting you say that. So what I learned early on is that even in the industry, a lot of people don't know, you might have a directional driller that really knows very little about wireline.
Yeah.
Or vice versa,
Yeah.
So I would just go with the approach of like, hey, let's try to I'm very big on like I need to understand the fundamentals before we get to the extremities. And so when they would start talking about extremities, I bring back to, okay, I don't understand the fundamentals, So we start there. And most of the time people are very like if they're passionate about what they do, they want to explain it to you. So it worked out. At the beginning, when I tried to pretend maybe 1 or 2 conversations that I knew what I was talking about, I never got a call. I got, that conversation ended.
It wouldn't be genuine.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, this guy, it feels like a sleazy,
So if you're not genuine with the first conversation about what you can do for me, how is the product you're going to put out there going to be genuine at all?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Being honest, being, just being transparent, especially with, people can see what you're doing online. They know, they're going to know pretty quickly if you know what you're talking about.
Right.
So that's how, I got started in the industry. I also started networking really, really, really hard.
How?
Just like networking events. Literally networking.
What do you mean network? Like, are you doing like YPE? You talking about like ADE? Like what
Oh no, like small like local events that would happen within Houston. So I don't know if I should name drop, but yeah, just there was events that would take place, and I would sign up for any event that I can go to. Got with a really cool group of guys when I first got here. We really hit it off, and so from that, building, I can't.
Is there a difference? I mean, because you've kind of danced around like don't make a ad feel like an ad, right? So these network events when you're trying to get work and all that stuff, are you trying to network to make it feel like work, or what is that like to you? I mean, are you trying to get the work? You're just trying to meet people and just kind of
literally trying to meet people and have conversations.
Okay.
Like one thing that I know I'm really good at is just like listening, understanding, asking more questions on things that I really don't know. And so it's kind of like a trail. So I'm sure, people in my life have had conversations with me and like, all he did was ask questions, that was it. And it might be, it might be strange for them, but that's what I would do. Just ask, talk. There was no agenda. No.
You know what's funny though? Like that always like works though, whether it's like networking or like dating or something like that. Like
ask questions.
Ask questions.
That's it.
That way you don't have to talk.
Dude, exactly. I mean, you don't have to talk. You don't have to say things. I mean, if you're uncomfortable with interacting with people, it's a great way to understand what they're doing, make it feel like you are having a conversation.
And plus, you might get a little nugget too. It's like, oh yeah, I also love 80s cheesy horror flicks. You're like, oh shit, I do too.
Me too. Yeah.
Oh, then you have that bond right there.
So networking events, asking a lot of questions, no agenda, that led to so many opportunities. And yeah, man.
So where do you get? So I don't even know if we talked about this recording or the last recording. So when you came in today, my business partner and I were talking about our website and all that stuff, and he's like, "Oh, you do websites too?" Started talking to you about that, and we sent him over about 5 or 6 of the websites you've done.
Yeah,
was that the last recording we talked about? Or this one?
It might. I don't even know if this is going to make it. I don't know.
This is going to make it.
I don't know.
I'm feeling
man.
good with this.
Yeah. Okay.
I really am.
Okay. All right.
Pinky promise.
Sounds good.
That means it's official. No, so anyway, I've seen some of your stuff, and you named about 6 or 7 different companies that you've worked with and all that stuff. And I sent them an email, say, hey, look, we're gonna do a podcast. We'll talk about it after, but look at this stuff. Look at these these websites that Midnight Marketing has helped these oil field companies create, and all of it is so clean. It's sleek. It's new. It's not the old. It's not any other webs. You go to websites. It's kind of boring.
Yeah.
I dig it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's fresh. Like, I guess, how do you stay,
relevant, like
creative? relevant, creative, and getting website designs that are engaging, that people don't want to exit out of?
Yeah, I mean, just again, going back to, is it something that we're proud of? Like, is it something that we want, like, that we would consume, But then also, I'll say that, like, it's also about the traffic and like who's going to the site. So you build out this website. Now, what are you doing to drive traffic to the website? You know what I mean? Because, you look at like eBay or you look at like a Craigslist, and that thing, it's like from like the 1990s. If they were to change it up, people would be like, what the heck? Like, their whole thing is that
so old school.
It looks antiquated, right?
Yeah.
And so, it's not just about making something look cool. I mean, I think we do that really well, but it's also about, how are you driving people to the site? What are they engaging with? What kind of content are you following up with when they exit out of your website? Are you tracking them? Like those kind of things. And that's the kind of stuff that really at least gets me going. Yeah, there's the creative part, but it's also like the analytics. Like,
so I was about to ask you what you love about your I guess running Midnight Marketing the most. Is you love the analytics?
I love the analytics. Like, I love looking at reports. I love looking at, like, I'll even like peer into, customers that aren't necessarily under my account. They might be under another project manager, right. And I'll look at their website stats and like see who's clicking on what. And I just love that. I find that stuff so interesting. How long are they staying? What's the bounce rate? Where did they come from? Where did they leave once they exited the website?
Well, how do you gauge if that's actually y'all's work or if it's actually the product the company supplies?
So we have trackers on everything, right? So we're using, LinkedIn Insight tab. We're using Facebook Pixel. So we know who's coming from where and who's leaving and when they come back and what they're seeing. We get to see all of that.
Right.
Yeah, it's all there.
So where do you see the evolution of, I guess, oil and gas, the whole marketing online presence, I guess, where do you see it going from here?
I think the future's bright. I think, because of COVID, you have so many people who realize creating content is important, right? So I think it's going to keep on getting better. And I'm excited for better storytelling. I'm excited for people finding whatever it is, whatever vein it is that they do. You might be, one of my buddies owns like a fishing company, but he also owns, a service company, right? And it's really cool that, like, he's doing these two things, and there's some crossover, there's some cross pollination, you know, and so I think you're going to see more of that. And so I'm excited about it. I think the content's going to keep on getting better. There's going to be more players in the space, which, you know, is going to up the production value, and also like, yeah, it's just a lot more memes, a lot more fun content to consume.
A lot more stuff that's more that you want to look at versus just scrolling and seeing a white paper.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that stuff is boring. Or if you like post like a PDF and you're like, most people are consuming this on their phone. They're not going to, like, how are they going to read this? Like,
that's the thing though. You got to think like whether it's great content in there or not, or great content, great information in there or not, you got to present it in a way that makes that people want to look at it.
Right.
They're not going to keep scrolling.
And it's got to be something that I think often when you're looking at, you know, a company's marketing, it's stuff that they think might look cool or that they think might be interesting for their potential customers or current customers. And there isn't like a lot of thought about like, hey, like, do we genuinely like this? Like, is this interesting to us, you know? And so you have to really reflect on the pieces.
That's a great first question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
Like, do we want to see this? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if we're paying for this, do we want to actually see something like this?
Yeah. And would we be engaged with it?
Yeah.
You know?
And you can't just say yes. Oh, our name's on there, our logo's on there, so yes. But no, you're right though. Is it like, am I drawn into this?
Man, we've done A/B tests where we we'll have a picture that was taken in the field, right? And we then take that and put a logo on it on the bottom, like the same thing, right?
Right.
The one with the logo performs way worse.
Oh yeah, it does.
And it's
worse?
Worse.
Interesting.
With the logo.
Why?
Because the one without the logo, there's no, like, I'm not trying to like sell you something. it's just a picture of like the team.
Are you guessing that or you know that?
No, we know this. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So if it's the same exact image, but one of them just has like a logo at the bottom, typically, and there's other factors too,
Right.
but typically that will perform less than the one without the logo.
Note to self: don't put logo on pictures anymore.
Well, think about it though, isn't it? If you're engaging, like, yeah, think about the way you consume content on you know, Instagram. You know, if you're scrolling and you see a logo, you know that it's a company. You know that there's something that they're trying to sell you, right? You don't have that. It typically performs better. You should try it too. Try a little A/B test.
You know,
now,
that's a good point. Okay.
Now, having said that, there is something to be said about brand recognition and building brand for sure. This is the play of like the interplay of like, well, what are you looking to do? Is it engagement? Is it targeting, you know, customers? Like, what are the goals here? So, typically with our clients, we get down to like the finances. We act as not just their marketing leg, but also like, okay, so you're at 50 million this year. Next year, you want to get to 80 million. Like, what's the delta of the change that we're going to get to that, you know, whatever that is, that 30 million from marketing? Is it 5%? Is it 10%? And so we get very specific with our customers in terms of how much, you know, we have some customers that like when they're first onboarded, they might think, hey, listen, we want to see $10 million from this. Our budget might be $2,000 a month. Well, I'm like, well, does that seem proportionate? If there's anything like that in life where I could get that kind of return, like, sign me up.
Yeah,
right?
wrong
You know what I
industry,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we get very specific in the beginning about what are the financial goals of the company. And then from there, we build out marketing campaigns.
So, man, how do you stay, I guess? I mean, you're throwing out a lot of stuff right now. You're talking stuff like delta of change, you know what I mean? Engagement, like all these like great things. Like, so you went to Concordia University.
In Montreal, yes.
In Montreal,
Yeah.
right?
Actually didn't finish.
So you didn't finish. So yet you are a marketing company. How do you? And dude, honestly, I graduated marketing as well, and it's like I don't remember anything I use.
Oh man,
I think I remember one thing: SWOT analysis. That's it.
Oh yeah.
So how do you do you read books? Do you read trade? Like, do you read like how do you, I guess, get your idea?
My whole life I've been a doer. Like I just do shit.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it doesn't work out, right? Sometimes it does. And on the things that, you know, do work out, you gain a little bit of confidence to do the next thing. And so
To try something new, push the envelope a little bit.
yeah, I mean, yeah, to your point, like marketing, I mean, I think I should probably take it off my LinkedIn because I didn't graduate in marketing. I literally, I stopped Concordia to pursue one of my companies that turned out to work out very well. It was a good move.
Very Bill Gates of you.
But dude, well, Concordia is not Harvard. It's so funny, when people talk about like, Mark or, Steve Jobs, these people are like dropping out of like from pretty reputable schools. It's not like it's like, a mom and pop college. But, the theory about marketing, and it's just like, yeah, everything that we were taught in school, I can't remember one thing. I got SWOT, but
I'm curious if what we're taught in school in marketing is back when we went is pertainable to today, which I don't think it is. I mean, it's online. It's this, and I'm sure curriculums have been updated.
Yeah,
right, in the past.
I would hope so.
In the past, whatever number of years I've been gone, but I'm sure things have been updated and all that stuff. But at the same time, you're right. Like, marketing is all about, what would you want to see? What do you want to engage in?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
how does something make you feel? And B2C is different from B2B for sure, right? B2B, with B2B, you're definitely going to talk more so about
business to business.
Yeah, business to business, right? And B2C is business to consumer, right? B2C, you can play a lot more on emotions, right? It's
more storytelling.
But yeah, and then also like you don't necessarily need to talk about the chip in the phone. You can talk about just you being able to take great photos.
Photos of your kids, yeah.
Right, B2B, there is definitely more talk about performance, right? So they're very different, but I don't know what's taught now, man.
So what do you do? Do you just kind of sit there and just kind of like just get on your computer and try shit out, or do you like read books, or like do you like read like?
I want to get to a place where I have some time to read, and definitely I consider myself a student of the world, so to see what's going on. With us, we're constantly learning new tools. So new tools to implement. Like one of the tools that we really like is Adespresso. Love Adespresso. What Adespresso does is you can take X amount of creatives. Let's say it's 5 graphics.
Okay.
With 5 different captions.
Okay.
Okay. And then maybe 5 different headers.
Okay.
So you have your header, then you have your text within the post, and then your graphic.
Okay.
You take that, you obviously have to target, your audience, whoever that is, but then you can calibrate it so that there's a mix mash of, that header goes with this graphic and then this copy, and then the algorithm will start to choose which horse is the one that's winning, right? And then you can turn off the ones that aren't. So tools like that are so powerful that you can really amplify your efforts. So you can literally have a couple of ads that you created, but what's actually being spit out is like 150 ads because there's all these different,
What?
Yeah, because you're doing a lot of A/B tests. We're going to target females. We're just going to target males. We're going to do combinations.
You just gave away like your playbook right there. Adespresso.
Adespresso, yeah. It's a Adespresso, Canva. What else can I give away?
Do you think if you were so there's a lot of people that come on this podcast and a lot of professional people that I see post on LinkedIn like the books they're reading, like the books they're like, oh, I read this book, it's a great book to read, like, and look, I'm all for it.
I respect it too. Yeah,
I mean I respect it, but I kind of feel like, and I don't know, maybe I'm not. So I'm actually listening to my first business book right now. I've never split the difference, and I think it's great. You know what I mean? It's just the power to negotiate and just kind of sit there and just let other people talk. Pretty much. I mean, I dig it, but the thing is though, it's like there's a lot of books out there like Marketing the New Age and all that stuff, which I think there'd be a lot of good stuff to listen to and to like get out of. But I think if I start doing that, I would start kind of. I'm not sure if it would sharpen my skills or if it might kind of hinder me because I might second guess myself.
Yeah.
Do you think reading those professional books, the professional side of books, do you think that would help you or kind of hurt you? Because it kind of sounds like you're kind of walking at your own pace and doing your own thing and it's working.
I mean, I think everyone learns differently, right? But how I learn is just to do, right? Do
you have any like drive to like, okay, well, to be really successful, I need to read some books about this, or is that just kind of like,
I mean, so there was a phase in my life where I did a lot of reading, and I did feel like that boosted. I don't know if this even makes sense, but it feels like it boosted, IQ. It you read a little bit in the morning and you open up your vocabulary for the day, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot more connections in your mind that you can relate to because of that. Now, somewhere between that and now, I just got so on this rhythm of just do it, fail. Like you learn from your mistakes and like you just get better and better and better. I think sometimes where it gets scary is when you start to hit on a vein of success, maybe you don't take as many gambles anymore. And so
you're like, oh, this works. I need to start kind of
yeah.
like, yeah, you're right.
So definitely want to make sure that, always keep myself, the team in check, where it's like, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Like, it's got to be different. We've done this whatever thing for too long, and now we got to switch it up.
Well, talk to me about that. You just said fail.
Yeah.
Like most people are like, that's just a unique mindset to have.
Yeah.
So talk to me about failure and I guess putting something out there and not working for you. I mean, it sounds like it just motivates you.
It motivates me. It builds resilience.
Do you ever beat yourself, like have negative self-talk or beat yourself down because of that?
Oh, all the time.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I'm constantly like evaluating what we're doing, but that doesn't stop things from moving forward, Well,
it's just like this podcast. I mean, I hate listening to myself. I think the stuff I put out is shit. I'm like, God, JP, if you just talk.
Yeah.
If you just
have a conversation. Yeah.
If you can speak without using 1,500 filler words every episode, you know what I mean? So like,
yeah.
That negative self-talk, it does get you, so, but I counterbalance that by saying, man, just get behind the mic and just, shoot the shit with someone like you've been doing, you know what I mean? And if people like it, great. If people don't, that's fine too. Like, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, man. Just, yeah. Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. You just got to just put yourself out there and do it.
Yeah. And hopefully you enjoy it and don't overthink it. But, you learn so much more from failure, right? I mean, when you're right, you don't really, even just in conversations, like think about in conversations when like you don't really know what you're talking about, you ask more questions, you learn more, right? So there's something about failure, about not knowing it's a really beautiful thing. And again, and then what you see is you start to hit on success and it's like, oh, but then you might pigeonhole yourself because you're doing that thing that works today.
Maybe. And you want to get away from that failure feeling.
Yeah. And maybe it won't work tomorrow, Right. So yeah, I mean, there is going to be, obviously you have to be successful at some point, right? You don't want just to fail all the time, but that little bit of success will give you the confidence to do the next thing, And so, but you can't be afraid of failing if you want to be successful.
So I guess we've had, Ken Miller on.
Yeah.
With Erdos Miller, we've had Ryan Dawson with Corva. We've had a bunch of people on that starting their own companies, doing the entrepreneurial spirit and all that stuff. And that's one thing they always say. You're gonna fail. This is part of the process. A lot of people are so hesitant and nervous about failing. I'm not sure if it's social media. Rise and grind, get that bread and all that stuff. Like you all succeed, because that's all you see these days. You go online. No one posts their failures. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny because there's also like a movement like in the entrepreneur world where it's like love failure. Like I
embrace it.
I embrace it. I mean, I don't have anything wrong with failing. Now, I don't like love it. I'm not cheering like, yeah, I failed again. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. But I'm not afraid of it. I mean, again, if you're an entrepreneur for most of your life, even if you're working within a larger company, you can still be an entrepreneur, and you got to be okay with like taking chances and making mistakes. And hopefully you instill that in your other team members, So
how do you, I guess, I mean, you're running a team. Y'all don't have an office currently, right?
No. So we have remote offices, but no home for
right. That's what I'm saying. So how are you, I guess, leading your team during this? And because y'all are growing and y'all are getting more clients and getting more stuff out there, I mean, how are you, I guess, keeping in line with Midnight Marketing and what y'all are doing? I mean, how do you, I guess, QC everything?
So I mean, we run everything on Slack, right? That's where our culture is. That's where it lies.
Okay.
And we have multiple touch points. Like every day we have 2 meetings. We have one in the morning, one, end of day meeting. And then we have like, little breakout groups throughout the day. So we're really, really tight. But there is something special, which is why I do want to get to like having a home for Midnight. There's something special about having everyone in a room.
I would just think that would be a great little garden for like creativeness to like, hey,
yeah. I mean, even just like listening to people having a conversation, maybe it's with a customer, then you take what they said and now you can apply it to whatever it is you're doing.
Right.
I've always built out companies in offices, so this is the first time build it more remote, and it's worked out great. But I do want a home for Midnight, and that's kind of what we're pursuing. We're trying to find one now. Your office is badass because it's a house.
It's a little bungalow.
Yeah, I like it. It feels homey. It doesn't feel corporate. You don't have those like corporate lights that you just,
That's the thing though. We'll host like so like during COVID, you have to obviously change how get in front of customers. Obviously breakfast runs aren't happening or anything like this. People don't want to go to restaurants. So we've been, hosting steak dinners here and all that stuff.
That's so cool.
And I'm like, hey man, come to the office. And they're like, oh, no, I'm not going to the office. No, I'd rather go to I'm like, trust me. So they'll come here. They're like, oh shit, like it's a cool vibe.
Yeah.
It's a house.
I would want something like this. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, everything that we've been looking at, it's like there's a lot of like shared offices, which I don't want, or like you walk in and you have to, there's a lot of shared offices that are.
Yeah. No. So, yeah. No. So okay. So with Midnight Marketing blowing and going right now, right? So, do y'all market yourselves first off? I mean, how do you generate business?
So it's that inbound model that we were talking about, where because of the work that we do, it's.
So what is that? So if I'm just some random company, and it's like, do I see another company's graphics and all that stuff? Is that kind of how it's happening?
Yeah. So it happens kind of two ways. One is, a customer will be like, hey, like, my buddy has a company. They really like what we're doing. He wants to reach out to you. So that happens quite a bit. But then also someone gets in contact with us because they're like, hey, like, do you do this person's marketing or this?
Really?
Yeah. Because maybe, one of the team members would have liked it, or maybe it just hits on a vein where like, I really like this. And they kind of like, sometimes you have these, suggested comments or these suggested people that are attached to certain pages, and we might show up. And that's really how we got in all our business. So if you go to our website, it's like, we have no services on there. It's a one pager.
You know what's interesting? Like I've been at, whether it's conversations with people, like I've noticed like mutual friends, I'm like, dude, like I love y'all's graphics. Like keep it up and all that stuff. Like, oh, thanks. That's Tim Taylor with Midnight Marketing. That's when I first heard. And then I was sitting at a dinner and I was like, yeah, and that, I love the website. Like, oh, that's Tim Taylor. Like it's fun. I'm not just saying this like, make your head bigger. I'm saying it's funny. It's like, it seems like Midnight Marketing and Tim Taylor is in a lot more businesses than it's very sneaky.
We're very quiet.
You're very sneaky.
We're very quiet. And I'll say, I want to remove myself. It's the team. Like we have a very talented team. It's not Tim Taylor. It's the team. We got a talented group and that, work their tails off to just produce great quality work. And we are quiet, and that's with the intention. Kind of, I mean, the reason why we had to, restart this podcast because I feel like the first one was awkward. I'm an awkward person when it comes to being on video.
Said that.
I just turn off when I see that. So that kind of bleeds through the brand of Midnight, where it's just like, hey, let's just be very quiet, very laid back, and that way you don't have like, okay, well, you're working with them and I don't like them, or you don't have any of that. And so that's,
you talking about like if one company doesn't like another company?
You just avoid it. Just just be quiet and just let the work speak for itself. So I think my personality in that sense bleeds through Midnight. So we really don't have our own like branding. We don't have like, I mean, again, you go to midnightmarketing.com. It's a one pager with like, you would have no idea what we do. Right. So it's just,
which is kind of polar opposite of what you were talking about earlier in the show about how you want inbound traffic. And if it seems like for you growing a company and you're not doing that inbound stuff, talk to me about that juxtaposition.
I know. Look at that. The irony. Well, the irony is that our inbound is all the work that we're doing. And it's tenfold because now it's not just creating work for creating content for us or for our audiences, but it's also for our customers. And
dude, that's the thing though. Like going back to what I was saying is like I'm in a lot of conversations with people, and then your name always gets brought up, and so with such a small company that produces great stuff out there, and it's such a flat organization. What happens if you take on 2 or 3 customers that you guys can't handle? I mean, how do you maintain, I guess, the quality and the quality and dedication? I mean, how do you do that?
Again, so like to your point, very flat. That's how we're going to continue to grow. Is we have a project manager. That project manager is basically, in some ways, they might act as the CMO for a customer. They might just augment the current marketing department, but they're capped out at a certain amount of clients. right? So they're capped at. So
so if there's more coming in, like that's no,
done.
Nope,
We're done. Exactly.
You got your focus.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then we move on to hiring another project manager. And the project manager is the gateway between the creative team and the customer. And so that way you also keep continuity. You keep the brand very familiar with the creatives and with the project manager. And most of what we do is month to month, in the sense that, like, we do branding campaigns. We do that where it's like, it might be like a one-time like setup of something. But most of what we do is it's month to month. You know, customers are continuously signing up. We don't work with contracts. Like,
Right.
hate contracts. You know, it's funny because that's something that, like, blows most customers' mind when we start to engage with them. Is like, there's no contract. I'm like, no, hey, why would I?
Well, I mean, so is that usually how it's done? There's a contract?
Usually there's contracts. Usually it might be a year. It might be 6 months. You pay the majority up front. You pay the rest. But, you know, there's going to be that honeymoon phase. Month 12, when things are wrapping up, won't be the same as month 1. So the way we do it to hold ourselves accountable is everything we do is month to month. We only have one customer that needed us to sign up for like 2 years.
Probably for their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of, you know, a little bit how we run the business. Almost like that Netflix style, you know, you can leave anytime you want. If you do want to, you know, cancel, we'll make it very easy for you. And we have to keep on earning your business, you know, doing great work and getting you more business, right? And now you have some customers that they don't necessarily want that. They just want us to create really interesting content. But then where we really thrive is the customers that want to see an ROI, you know, like, we like that. I love that. I love seeing those analytics. I love,
Really?
Oh yeah, getting on calls with customers and like, okay, did you get any new business from this? You know, in cases where we can't track because it has to go to a third party site or something, I want to know, okay, has there been any new leads or what have you? So that kind of stuff it's exciting, man. Helping other businesses grow their business couldn't be more fulfilling.
Oh, believe me. So, yeah, I mean, coming over to CPC, I mean, first off, I've known these cats for about 7-8 years. You know, I mean, we've been very close friends. I mean, Tara's one of my best friends and all stuff. Like, you know, they came over here to have me grow the business. Like, that, their focus shift.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To growing the business and the brand and all that stuff. When I came over here, I think in October of 2019, there was like 400 followers. You know what I mean, on LinkedIn. Now it's been fun just through content, campaigns, and
And now what are you at?
all this stuff. And I mean, I don't know. I guess the top off of my head, we have 4,470 followers. So I mean, it's cool.
Congrats,
seeing
man. That's awesome.
It's cool seeing it grow. You know what I mean? Like,
you're producing a lot of content, man.
well, what else are you gonna do right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
so your role is sales and marketing.
sales and marketing. Yeah.
What do you do from a sales standpoint?
Sales standpoint, so that's the thing. For me, sales is just kind of knowing what's going on. To me,
Yeah.
oilfield sales is number one, knowing what's going on in the market. You know what I mean? Knowing that, you know, Tim Taylor's picking up a rig, picking up a frac spread, whatever that is. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But also, to me, it's calling the people that don't have work coming up. It's calling the people that got let go. You know what I mean? It's, to me, and this sounds cheesy and it might sound, you know, hot air and all that stuff, but it's true. I mean, if anyone knows me, like, man, one of my buddies, like, I remember, you know, we were hanging out for like, you know, this might reflect how much of a shitty salesperson I am, but like, you know, for like, you know, we were buddies for like, you know, 16 months, and like, I'm like, hey, give me the name of the guy that does this. He's like, well, why? I was like, well, that's what this company does. This is a previous company. I'm like, that's what this company does. He goes,
Gotcha.
Really? I never knew. Okay, well, good deal. So to me, the sales aspect to me is number one, letting people know who CPC is and growing that brand. You know what I mean? Being bigger than you are. You know, because we can do it. You know, we can operate bigger than we are, you know, but we just need that chance, you know, we need that opportunity. So it's growing the company, but to me, it's about relationships. It's, you know, we want to tell our story, and that to me is, you know, what we're doing. We're sponsored little leagues where you know, our wives will get together and do these volunteer, you know, wrap gifts at whatever. It's to me, the marketing is about relationships. It's the relationships, not only individual relationships, but it's also relationships to the industry and to the community. And so I just think of ways to highlight that. I mean, you know, this morning I went to breakfast with someone who was recently, you know, let go.
Okay.
And I was like, man, I'd love to get a picture with you. You know, I know it's cheesy, and I'm not trying to be, you know, high school cheerleader, but I think it's important because I want to post a picture, tag him, let people know who he is, because you never know. So to me, it's about the relationships and about the story, and it's all genuine. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's not bullshit.
So you take care of sales and marketing. A lot of what you just said right now is a lot more marketing, right? So
Yeah.
do you think a traditional sales role is going to go away?
I think it's gone.
Okay.
I already think it's gone. Yeah, I do. This is why. Previously, before COVID, I think it was routine sales. It was very breakfast run. It was lunches. It was golf, whatever it is.
And it also
meetings,
felt,
whatever you want to call it.
it also felt like a lot more like account management.
It was a lot of account management, but there was enough activity going around where you could do account management.
Yeah.
And then when COVID happened, you kind of saw a split with sales. You saw people, and I hate being this way because, I'm not plugging social media, because I hate social media. I really do.
Do you?
I dislike it. I think what it.
What does that mean? Like, what do you mean when you hate social media?
Well, I think social media is it's not doing what it was initially. The initial purpose of it was. The initial purpose was, hey, see my kid, look at our trip, look at this, oh, look at this meal. Well, first off, it's all meals, but look at this, look at that, look at that. Now it's a place, and I'm not knocking anyone's opinion. Everyone's got an opinion. I think everyone's entitled to their opinion. They should have their opinion. You know what I mean? However, I think and that's the thing though, like there's algorithms, there's this, there's that to get you stay on the app, to get you to share stuff, get you this stuff.
Yeah.
So to me, it's this highlighted discrepancies and highlighted us versus them mentality. It doesn't matter if it's political parties. It doesn't matter if it's masks, no masks. It doesn't matter if it's Chick-fil-A, no Chick-fil-A. It doesn't matter if it's Yeti. Like, everything is political these days. You know what I mean? Everything. So I guess kind of where it's evolved to these days is people spitting out their opinion. But shit, I don't give a shit about anyone else's opinion. Like, hey, man, like, you can have it. That's fine. Just be respectful of it. Like, I love that you have your opinion.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, that's what makes you. That's what makes this country great. But, like, man, just be respectful of others too.
But it's also so interesting too, like on LinkedIn, like you see this a lot where it's like someone posts something personal or something about their family, and then you'll have like comments like, yeah, that stuff doesn't belong here. That's Facebook. It's like, dude, like just don't follow that person.
Also, I didn't know that person was part of the people that built LinkedIn.
Yeah, I know.
LinkedIn is whatever the users want it to be. And don't get me wrong, I don't like seeing the Facebook style posts either on LinkedIn, but it's what it is these days.
I'm someone different. Like I'm so agnostic. Like it doesn't. You have these platforms. Are you posting content on there or not? You're going to build up a following.
Right.
If you don't like what you see, don't subscribe. Like unfollow
or scroll. Don't leave a comment.
Yeah, I know. Keep on scrolling with your thumb. Just do one more scroll. Yeah,
it's okay. It's okay to scroll. How about that? That should be the title of this. It's okay to scroll.
It's okay to scroll.
That's the title of my book. It's okay to scroll. But no, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, if I had the choice, I would switch from an iPhone, what I have, to like one of those like
flip phones.
Those flip phones that just hold schedules, alarms, and text and phone calls.
It's crazy you say that. So in university, it's 2000. It's 2012.
No, it's 2021 right now.
No. In 2012, when I was still in university, I had a flip phone, right? And it might seem like a long time ago, but even then, like most of my peers had iPhones, right? I mean, it was at that point, it was like iPhone 4S, or the iPhone 5 was just about to come out. And I remember switching from my flip phone to an iPhone.
Yeah.
And I remember being on the bus going from the school to my house, and just realizing that my life will forever be changed in the sense that people now can contact me whenever. Whereas I had my flip phone, people were like, oh, you don't have your email on your phone. So,
yeah.
It's normal if you respond to me like tonight or tomorrow morning because, you don't have your phone on you. You might be out. Or you don't have a phone that can connect to the internet. When I remember it was like the first email on my iPhone on the bus, I was like, oh my goodness. Like now anyone.
Here we go.
Yeah. Now anyone can contact you whenever. Now there's so many benefits, but there was that realization. It's funny you say that about the flip phone, because I think I would go back if there was a way to get a flip phone, just to also like to protect myself, just like, chill out a little bit.
It is fine taking a step back. It's fine taking a step back from everything on your phone. It's fine not responding to an email immediately. I know people are like, oh, I respond to emails immediately and all that. Well, it's fine. That's good. But there's very few emails that need to be responded to that very moment when you're sitting down with your family, when you're talking with your friends, when you're doing XYZ, right?
See, I have a huge issue. Like, I have a problem with that. Like, everything to me is like, when it comes to the business is like the most urgent thing.
Well,
and it's
it's also your company. Yeah, I get it. And
But-
it's
but-
9 months old.
But to your point, it's not. It's like that email that was written at 7:30 p.m. Like you don't need to respond to it right away. And that's something I'm actually learning right now is like, it can wait. Like it's actually kind of strange if like you respond to it and then you build a relationship that might not be sustainable, right? Because then when someone needs something, and it's 10 o'clock at night, you don't respond. You're like, how come you didn't respond?
Yeah.
So having that flip phone would just like force you to not be able to.
No, so I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I think social media is like good when it's sharing your stories. Like, I mean, I love it. I love seeing my friends. I love seeing my other people's families. People grow and all that stuff because life's busy. You know, it's always been busy. But I don't like it just for the fact that I wish it was just kind of like pictures and that's kind of it because I don't need to hear any more opinions. And to me, it's. I don't need to hear about shit that I don't know. Okay.
I know what you're saying.
It is, to me, it's okay to be non-informed about a topic that it's okay because unless you're actually getting out there and actually campaigning or you're actually getting involved in local politics and all that stuff, like me shouting something about something that I really don't know much about, both sides of the fence, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And I would never shout about that because it's like, that's what makes this country so great is that I can't have my viewpoint and feel strongly about it unless there's someone else that opposes it, right?
Yep.
So without someone else opposing my viewpoint and having different viewpoints, that viewpoint in me won't feel so strong. So I need to respect that, okay? And a lot of times on social media, because you have that platform where it's just a screen and you're not engaging with someone, all people do is just get people upset. So that's the reason why I kind of hate how social media words kind of evolved to. I'm talking about like, Facebook and all that stuff. Facebook during election years and all that bullshit. Like, I'm over it.
That's an interesting point, right? Because if you think about how we consume content on these platforms, you're basically going to subscribe to things that you agree with.
Yeah.
Instead of like Facebook saying, hey, you might want to brush up on like this subject, you know? And so you become your own, you're in this echo chamber of things that you agree with. And whenever you see something you
and
don't.
And like kind of reaffirms what you believe in.
Yeah. That's a good point. That can be kind of scary because you're just constantly, but humans have always been like that too,
What do you mean?
In the sense that you associate with things that you agree with, whether it's politics or religion, you just naturally gravitate to things, right?
But I'm not saying, but I agree with that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is this also is that we are in a point where it's like, if anyone disagrees with you about anything, so like,
I know
we are in a black and white world right now.
Yeah.
But between that black and white, there's 50 shades of gray. No, there's a lot of shades of gray. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much like...
I think that's why you and I hit it off too, is because you and I are definitely in the gray area.
Yeah, everyone's not just you and me, but everyone is in the gray area on some perspective, but they don't know that. No one's black and white.
Yeah.
No one's black and white. Everyone falls on that spectrum at some point.
Even if they're not honest with themselves, I'm like, yeah. Maybe.
Exactly. Because... the black or white, you're not gonna.
It's left or right. That's it.
Whether it's left or right and all that stuff, but there's gonna be some beliefs that you have that I'm sure that fall kind of towards the right or towards the left. That's not so everyone's on the gray spectrum, and so to me, social media doesn't allow people to have those conversations. It's more just hurling those catapults across the wall.
That's an interesting perspective. That's a very interesting perspective. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day, these platforms would be empty with no users, right? And so it's about the content you're putting out, what you're consuming, you get to control that. But I think we also hit on just a very interesting note, which is like people tend to subscribe to things that they believe in, that they like. And maybe a challenge would be to follow the opposite side and kind of, get some perspective there,
I think that'd be great. Even just sitting around and like just talking to someone. I mean, if someone disagrees with you, shit, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right to disagree with someone.
And you can be friends. And
I'll tell you what, if you and I disagree about one thing, I guarantee there's 9 million other things we can talk about. You know what I mean?
And it also makes for interesting conversation, like having, these different views on life and the world around us, right? It'd be kind of boring if you only associated with people that believe in the exact same thing as you and like the same. You wouldn't. That's not a life worth living, So, yeah.
We can go down this rabbit hole.
We could, but maybe we can do a part 2.
Oh, we'll definitely do a part 2.
There we go.
So what else you got for me? We're coming up on an hour and 18 of our second recording on this.
Well,
So wait, so this
yeah.
is the second podcast you've been on,
second podcast.
and I'm assuming the first one was flipping the barrel, right, with your wife?
Oh, you know what? Then no, I've done three. I didn't. Oh, I'm gonna. So
So wait, real quick. If your wife's listening, the first recording we did, I asked you if you were on a podcast before, and you said yes, you were on Justin Gautier's.
yeah,
You didn't even bring up flipping the barrel.
Yes, sorry, my mistake.
So go on. So
this
admit
is
your mistake.
So I'm sorry. I apologize. This is my third podcast.
Okay.
And you know what? If you listen to those, I was just as awkward. It was just as bad.
I don't think you're awkward right now.
It's better now, but the first one, if we should like release clips of how bad certain parts were.
Of the first one we did?
First one, yeah.
Oh, so awkward.
It was much better now. Yeah. So this is the third one, and really appreciate everything you're doing. I love the content that you're putting out. You're everywhere, man. You're literally It's what we preach to customers. It's
I mean, get out there, post genuine stuff.
That you like.
Be yourself, tell your story.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very cool, man. Well, thank you so much for having me.
So Tim, thank you for coming in, man. I appreciate this. So everyone, this is Tim Taylor, the founder of Midnight Marketing, and he does a lot of cool stuff. I highly recommend linking up with him on LinkedIn, and from there, I'm sure he'll tell you some of the clients or the customers that he works for, so you can check out their stuff. If you're in the need for marketing. What is it? Rebirth.
A rebrand.
Rebrand.
I mean, if you're looking for a fractionalized marketing department, that's what we do.
And I'm telling you, some of the stuff you put out is awesome. Some of the everything I've seen. Well, the stuff I've seen has been great. So I highly recommend if you're curious about what he does. I mean, I know a lot of the customers that he works for, and it's gotten to the point where I've actually brought it up, and they say, "Oh, that's Tim," and I'm like, "Holy shit, he's everywhere." But link up with him on LinkedIn. Where else can they find you?
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I do that. Just shoot him a note and have a cup of coffee and all that stuff, and go from there. And
again, thank you so much for having me. This has been great. Second time around.
We'll do a third.
Yes.
There'll be a third, then we'll cut that, and we'll do a fourth. So that way it'll be good.
Good, man.
All right. Thank you for everyone tuning in around the Rotary, and we'll talk to you soon.